Hi kittens, I'm Julie Savone, psychedelic facilitator, integration expert, and your guide for this wild ride, The Inner Trip, 365 days with plant medicine. I've helped hundreds of people use plant medicine, primarily psilocybin, to heal, expand, and step into their next level. But this year, I'm taking it even deeper. For the next 365 days, I'm bringing you with me. I'll be microdosing, journeying, integrating, and exploring what it really means to live a limitless life, with plant medicine as a tool, not a crutch. So if you're ready to feel more alive, more clear, more limitless, and you're down to do it with mushrooms and a little bit of sass, you're in the right place. Let's take the inner trip. Hi kitten! A little backstory before I get into my intention for today, in today's episode. I am writing a book. Maybe you know that, maybe you don't, but as part of that process, I am going through the big idea to bestseller model, which is a company by Jake Kelfler. He is amazing. If you have a book that's been on your heart, I recommend reaching out to him, hopping on a call. I am writing the rough draft of the book myself, but then I'll be taking it to Jake, and Jake will be doing the editing, and his team will do editing, formatting, and publishing, etc. So he was so kind and sent me a free copy of his book, Big Idea to Bestseller, and so I've been following that roadmap to create my own roadmap for writing. And so right now I've been looking at different clients. I've worked with so many women and a few men over the last 4 years, and I've just been poring over their forms that they've submitted to me, screenshots of testimonials they've sent, and it's been a really beautiful practice to connect with the way that this work has helped people. So the book is about psychedelics, right? I don't know if it's going to be about just mushrooms or it's going to be about mushrooms and LSD and other psychedelics. But just to see the impact that this work has made on people, right? And I firmly believe that they are the ones doing the transforming. Like I am there to give you the tools and to provide the framework, but I'm of the mind that no one transforms someone else, no one heals someone else. We all do our own healing. But it's like a painting class, right? I personally would need some guidance to be able to paint something that resembled something in particular or looked good, right? And so I would go to the class and I would learn from the instructor, but the instructor isn't painting my picture. I'm still painting it. And it's the same way with this work that we're doing around healing. And so I've been sitting down, I've been looking at these testimonials, and I've just been realizing, like, wow, the way that this work has transformed people's lives is truly amazing. And I think some people don't honestly fully get what is possible with psychedelics, right? I know there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of negative connotation around this work. So my intention today is to come on here and share 3 of the most amazing stories in my mind, right? Like everyone's transformation is beautiful, and I love seeing what people are able to cause and create as a result of this work. And there are 3 that really, like, they touch a part of my heart and a part of my soul. So I want to dig into those with you today. And I want to begin at the very beginning, because one of the transformations that means the most to me is the very first woman I ever worked with. Took her through the program. It used to be called Uncover Your Magic. I've renamed it 30 Days to Heal the Root Cause of Your Anxiety, but it was the first program I ever created in the space of microdosing. Oh, and as a matter of fact, I'm saying this out loud to pull the thread through at the end, and we're going to pull it through together. But this also, I want to tie this back into gratitude and what research studies are showing about gratitude, and how that might look a little different than what you think of as gratitude or having a gratitude practice. And when I read the research, I was also surprised, because it wasn't how I was practicing gratitude. But we're gonna pull that thread through at the end. So this is a woman. We'll call her N. I never like to say anyone's name, right? And we got connected on Instagram, and she reached out and said, "Hey, I'm really interested in trying microdosing." She said, I have had a decade plus of clinical depression that just, nothing touches it, right? I've gone to therapy, I've done Prozac. She felt like she had tried everything. They're like, go to the gym, change your diet, etc. And she's like, I have. And it's not working for me. It's really not working for me. And so this program, 30 Days to Heal the Root Cause of Your Anxiety, you follow a specific protocol. So that's your schedule for microdosing, right? And for every one of your on days, there is a different tool that I'm giving you, and each set of on days, because you'll microdose like 4 days on, 3 days off, 3 days on, 2 days off, two, right? But so for every like set of on days, there's a specific theme around the tool that I'm giving you. And so we went through this program. She went through this program. She's the very first person to go through it. And the results that she had were amazing. And the thing with microdosing is I never want to tell someone like tomorrow you're going to feel different, because that just feels disingenuous and gimmicky and like exploitive. But people do see results really, really fast. I do tell people, when we work together, hey, by the end of like the first couple weeks, the first month, you're like, I'm not sure, definitely come to me. We'll talk about dosage. We'll talk about your protocol. We'll talk about X, Y, and Z. Right. But, I had a new one-on-one client start last week, and immediately she's like, I feel great. Like I had a day later that day after, my first on day. It was so good. So I know that it can be a very fast process. And for this woman, and it really was. It was such a quick process where her depression would manifest, and like she could, and maybe you can relate to this. She was very high functioning in her professional life. Like she would go to work and she would do well at work, and she like from the outside, if someone just saw her at the office or whatever, be like, oh no, that like she's fine, she's so good, right? But at home it would manifest as like not cleaning her house. She had a really big dog, and the dog was fluffy, and so like the dog would shed, and there was hairballs all over the house, and she just couldn't find the like energy to go vacuum. It would manifest in her not like moving her body, not taking care of her body, not eating foods that she knew were nourishing, right? And so it is like when you are depressed, you have very few the more polite way to say it is spoons, right? You have very few spoons. Like if a person without depression who feels good physically and mentally, blah blah blah, like let's say that person has 25 spoons in a day, right? Like maybe someone with depression has like 15. So you have to modify them and decide to use them in a different way. And so most people will use them, right, for work. It's like, well, I have to have this job, I have to be able to pay my bills, like I have to show up for work. Right? And some people don't even have enough to show up to work, and that's like a whole other discussion. But she basically used up all her spoons at her job, and then didn't have any spoons left for the rest of her life. And so within a month, she messaged me one day, and I still have the message. It was something like, it's Friday night, and I'm cleaning my house and meal prepping, like, who am I? And she was talking about how she was, like, noticing things that she had never noticed before in her environment, like street signs and different, like, lyrics and songs, and kind of what this could mean to her. And she just had this, like, different energy. And so we're still connected. I see her come up a lot on my TikTok, and I absolutely love seeing like her transformation. Like she started taking her health really seriously. And so she like will post these, food TikToks about like her macro hauls at Costco and like her outfits. And she just shows up in a way that like she was not showing up before, right? Because again, like to show up on the internet, like that takes some spoons. It definitely takes some spoons. And so it's been a really beautiful experience seeing her shift within that first month. And then she went on. The thing that I love so much about 30 Days to Heal the Root Cause of Your Anxiety, the program, is that you have lifetime access to it. And so she has gone through it multiple times, right? And so she texted me on the second time she went through and was like, it continues to be such a great experience. I'm feeling better and better. And so she had shared with me, yeah, like I've come back to my microdosing practice a few times over, again, she was like my first ever client. So this was like 4 years ago in microdosing, my first ever microdosing client. And she's like, I've come back to it a few times. But the thing is, too, that I love about her story is that we have a lot of distance, right, from when it started. And so she says, like, you don't have to microdose all the time, right? She feels good. She occasionally will come back to a microdosing practice and take herself through another round of a month. but it's not something where like that's not her new multivitamin. She doesn't have to keep microdosing. And I think that's also a misconception where it's like, oh, well, I'm just switching out being dependent on Prozac, Lexapro, Wellbutrin for something else. It's like, no, 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 that's actually not it. There's this analogy I like to make with microdosing around microdosing being like a ladder. So I've been on Prozac. And so I can say confidently, when I came off of Prozac, I had this point where I dipped lower in affect than even before before I got on Prozac. And that's unfortunately a very common reality for a lot of people where they just like, it's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. And it really messes with your neurochemistry. But like, let's say for any reason you stop microdosing, you forget to take it, you go on a trip and you don't want to take it, whatever the case may be, instead of dipping low, microdosing is like climbing a ladder. So like, let's say you get 3 steps up the ladder and you stop microdosing, that's fine. You'll stay on those 3 steps. Let's say you finish a full round and you climb like 10 steps and you feel really good and you're like, great, this is my new equilibrium. If you've really taken the time to integrate, then yeah, that is your new equilibrium and you can stay there very confidently. And I recommend for people coming back to microdosing like once or twice a year for like a month round, but it is not like it's not your new multivitamin by any means. And I'll say for myself, like, I don't need to microdose anymore. I don't need to do any more psychedelics. I do them because like this is my work, this is my job, and I think it's important for me to stay like current in my practice. But I'd be fine. Like my anxiety, my depression is healed. I'm not worried about it coming back. Maybe next year for my next year experience, I'll do a year of no psychedelics just to prove that to you. But I think it's a great story of quick results, lasting results, and just truly like people who feel like there's no hope for them in whatever way, like there's hope. There's hope. Okay, let's shift gears and we'll go like about a year into the future from that point. So we were talking about 3 years ago. And I was in this coaching program that was really around helping you understand the tech of your business. So like your CRM and which is your oh my God, a client asked me what CRM meant and I could not tell her. And now I'm not gonna be able to tell you. A client relation management tool? I don't know. Anyway, so how to build landing pages and like a website and stuff, right? It was a very tech heavy program. And so I met this woman in there and she had said, hey, I'd like to, at the time I was charging $222 for this thing, right? That I don't offer anymore. And she was like, that's too expensive. I'm going to go buy this $111, basically like ebook from a microdosing company. I was like, okay, cool. And she was also a coach. She was a coach as well. So she had her own toolbox, right? She's like, I don't really think I need this coaching program or you teach me how to microdose and coach me through it because I'm a coach. I was like, that's fine. Okay, babe. And so then about a month later, she comes back and she's like, oh, the ebook she found disappointing, right? Don't know that it was worth $111. And she was like, I am confused. I don't really know when to do certain things. And this does feel overwhelming and like, screw it. Like, let's do this program. I was like, okay, cool. So she signs up for this program. And she's great. Like, she's a very lovely person. I really liked her on all of our calls inside of this program that we were both a part of, right? And so she gets done with a month of microdosing and she's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I want, like, what else can I do? Actually, can you teach me to do what you do? And I was like, okay, let's go. So I ran my first cohort of something I don't offer all the time, because it is a lot of work on my end, but training people to do what I do, right? And then eventually she came to a retreat. And at that point in time, like, this woman did every single thing that she could possibly do in my world, in mushrooms, everything that I offered, right? Breathwork, all of it. She had done all of it. Okay. So it's really important to me to do like exit interviews and entry calls and all this stuff with my clients because I want to get a good feel for what are they struggling with? What did it actually help them with? Like, this is always helping me inform like what I'm creating in my work, right? And so we're having this exit interview and this is now like, my God, a year after, because she did so many different things, right? And so her name, we'll call her B, right? Again, don't like to ever give people's names. And I'm like, hey, B, great. So I have a few questions for you. And, I'm like, we're on the Zoom and I just have my little form up. And so I'm just in the zone, like getting ready to type. And so I asked her the first question. Hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely terrible, 10 being absolutely fantastic, how would you say that you felt on a daily basis before microdosing? And she was like, well, Julie, can I say 0? And I paused in that moment. I was like, what? Okay. I didn't really know what to say, right? But I was like, you definitely, yeah, you can. Um, and so I was just overwhelmed. I was confused. I was thinking like, what does she mean? And so, I asked her the next question on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling now on average? And she was like a 7 or an 8. And I was like, okay, so I mean, that's a huge improvement. I'm so happy to hear that, but I didn't realize like you were feeling that way before this. And here's the thing, right? We hear about people who end up deciding to end their life, right? We hear about someone like Robin Williams who seemed so happy. He was like literally a comedian. He was hilarious. And it's like, it just doesn't seem real because they aren't, they aren't projecting or carrying any of that energy with them. She was like, no, I really was thinking about it. I really was thinking about it. And the sad part was like, I knew this story from her because I had gotten to know her really well, right? Where her dad had ended his life. And it wrecked her, right? It absolutely wrecked her. So I share that just to say, like, she understood the ramifications of that potential action. She also was a mom of 2 young kids. And she's like, I was so overwhelmed. I had lost myself. I was overwhelmed by motherhood. Like, I didn't feel like I could parent by myself. Like, I was too scared to take the kids anywhere by myself. Like, I didn't have anything that really made me or made me feel happy. Like, I was just so miserable that's really was where I was at. And I would have never guessed that. Like, that is not how she showed up. That was not how her AFACT was. Like, none of it. And so we just sat there for a while, like, I'm kind of looking at her and she's looking at me and I said, I'm so sorry. Like, I had no idea that you were going through that. And she was like, well, I'm just so happy that I found microdosing because mushrooms literally changed my life. They gave me my life back. And I think that's like that to me is the one that has like the biggest like weight because she's a mom. And I'm not saying like I don't have this thing where like, we need to protect all mothers. And I know some people really get up in arms about that. I think every life is a beautiful life and like we all deserve the same amount of respect and prioritization. But I know what it would have done to her kids. And she knew what it would have done to her kids had that been like, the choice that she made. And so to know that she's still with us and still raising her kids and an amazing mom and like totally transformed her life is just like the biggest like sigh of relief. Because she is a wonderful person. I really feel like everyone at their core is a wonderful person. And unfortunately, life has lifed on many of us and it made it harder for us to express that wonderful soul uniqueness and shine. But she was expressing it and it just, I love her so much. I'm so happy she's still here. I'm so happy that she found this practice. And then we started microdosing together. And then she does it with other people. Like she's amazing. So I'm sending her so much love. I love her so big. And then finally, I want to talk about Kay. Because Kay's story, I think, is one a lot of people can relate to, well, aspects of it. And Kay's story unfolded over time for me, with me. And I think that's true for a lot of people. It can be hard to kind of like fully open up, go there, whatever, with someone that you just met. But so Kay and I connected on Instagram. We both lived in San Diego at the time. And Kay was someone who was also like kind of resistant. She didn't really like, it was, I'll say, like, I don't think about people as like sales, right? But she was kind of a long sell where it was like, I was definitely playing the long game of like, she had wanted to microdose and the cost was a factor. The cost was a big factor for her, right? The cost was a big factor for her. And at the time that I was doing this thing that was $600 in my business. I don't offer them anymore, but it was, it was something that I was offering as an alternative to my larger group coaching program. And she's like, okay, fine. Like, we'll sign up for this. It was a while of talking with her before that happened, months, right? And so we go through, it's a couple hour long call. We go through this couple hour long call and, she starts microdosing, and then I receive a text from her. We'll say like maybe a month in. And so she tells me that, I mean, a reason that the it took for a while for the $600 offer is just because she just wasn't truly like making enough at her job, right? I think a lot of people can relate. She was not making a lot at her job. And so her text basically said, "Hey, Julie, I just went in for another round of," oh my gosh, maybe I can just find it because it was the way that she wrote it was just really great. But I went in for another round of interviews at a new job. And basically, she would be getting paid $30,000 more per year in a base salary. And $10,000 more per year in a bonus. Oh, here we go. Hey, I just wanted to reach out and say after my last round of microdosing, my anxiety is like 10% of what it used to be. Because I'm less anxious, I'm more confident. Because I'm more confident, I applied for a job I wouldn't have before. I was calm and confident through all of my interviews, which is very unlike past me. I got offered the job, and because I feel like I know my worth now, I negotiated my contract so hard. My salary is increasing by $30,000. I got a guaranteed $10,000 anniversary bonus every year. I got to set my own schedule, working 4 10-hour shifts each week on a rotation to where I get 4-day weekend every other weekend now. This new job also really supports continued learning and providers areas of interest, which is a dream. I honestly don't think I would have gotten this pre-microdosing. Thank you so much. I've been manifesting in a new job all year, and it feels so incredible to come to fruition. And she went on and said, "Thank you so much for making microdosing approachable and not scary, because it's something I was very scared to do, and you made it very easy and calming. I really appreciate it. Nothing has ever changed my life this much, ever. I've done tons of therapy, tons of program, or tons of books, and all the things, and this one clicked. This came with the perfect time to synthesize all the things I knew but didn't know how to apply. This was honestly a godsend." And I think for so many people, like, I definitely have said it on social media if I haven't said it here before, they're like, "I don't understand. I've done so much freaking work. I've gone to therapy. I've done other coaching programs. I like read the books, but it's like, it's nothing is changing in my physical reality to let me know that like the work is working," right? And microdosing is that. It is turning your oven on. You have all the ingredients made, but your oven isn't on, and microdosing can really be that. And so, you know, I was so excited for Kay. So excited for her. I'm like, oh my God, amazing. We got together before I moved, and then she was like, okay, I want to come on a retreat. So she came on one of my retreats, and, you know, I knew that Kay's family life growing up was like unstable, like that there was, you know, moving around between different guardians and okay, but at a retreat, obviously, like a lot comes up, a lot comes out, because we're together for a whole weekend, and you know, you're doing a psychedelic and like a healing context and blah blah blah. And so in Share Circle, and it's so interesting, like I think I've said this before on the podcast, I know that there is a bigger like sentience to mushrooms, because the people that get put in these specific rooms are like people I could have never like orchestrated on my own, but they're the perfect people for each other. And so in this retreat, it's Kay and 3 other moms and another woman. And Kay starts sharing. Oof. I feel like I've almost cried at all of these, but Kay starts sharing about her mom, basically. And her mom has some addiction issues. And just really did a number on her growing up, right? Like, basically, Kay would, you know, almost like bargain, like, please stop. Like, why can't you stop? Why won't you stop and like do it for me? You know, I need you. And the response was, I can't remember the exact words, but essentially like, you're not worth it, or you're not enough, or you don't deserve it. And really, really fucked up things to hear as a kid, right? And I'm not like saying this from a place of judgment toward her mom. You know, she's an addict. Like, that's not your right mind. But I really do my best to hold equanimity in client sessions, at retreats. You know, I'm not saying I think it would be like super inappropriate for me to like cry, but if I hear a lot of stuff from clients, right? If every time I heard stuff I started crying, people would probably be like, oh my God, I can't tell Julie anything, she's just gonna start sobbing on the call. But I am like crying as she is sharing, like tears are pouring down my face as she's sharing this during a retreat circle, right? And oh my gosh, makes me so sad to think about even now. And so I get up and give her a hug. And, I say, like, after she's done, I'm like, you are so worth it. You are so loved. Like, you're so, like, more than enough. And then every other mom in the room gets up and hugs her and says the same thing. And she says, I wish my mom would have done something like this growing up because, she could not meet me emotionally where I needed to be met. And it was just such a healing experience. And like such a full circle moment because like this woman, we started off just microdosing. Oh, and that was another thing too, right? She started off just microdosing and then she was able to pay for the retreat in full, right? She did a payment plan for this other thing, this deep dive session I used to offer. And by the time, because of like this raise she negotiated, right, she was able to pay for the retreat in full. And now she's coming on another retreat. She's coming on my Mexico retreat in May. And it's just like this beautiful full circle moment of seeing what this work can do. And so she went on to have a really cool integration experience. She went on this trip to Europe and like did this whole exercise with her life and just like so clear on what she wants. And she texted me recently too. I wonder if I have those messages. That's also what I think is cool. Like, I like that I get to really connect with people and like form relationships with them, right? So, she was talking about her word for the year is aligned. She spent this whole day like with making this vision board and breaking down like her goals and how she wants to feel achieving them. And she said to me this thing that like really like made me so happy because this was when I was starting to talk a lot about like values-based decision making and like the 90-day game plan and really prioritizing how a process feels, not just like the end destination. And she said, what's the point of achieving something if it doesn't bring you the feelings you thought it would? The only way for the goal to feel as good as you want it to is to feel it along the journey too. I've lied to myself my whole life delaying joy for someday when I get the life I want, but no more. And there was a big theme for her on the retreat where she felt like she was like just starving in relationships. Like she was so hungry to be met. And then she texted me something recently too where she said, I'm not starving anymore, right? Like I'm feeding myself and I don't feel so empty in these interactions. And I choose not to like interact with people that left me feeling that way, that emptiness. And it's just really beautiful. This work is so beautiful. I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for these 3 women. I'm so grateful for every one of the women I've worked with. And I want to pull this thread through to gratitude because you might not be thinking like, okay, well, how am I going to integrate this since we leave every episode with an integration, right? So what studies are showing about gratitude is that a way to feel, the most potent way to like really connect with gratitude and use gratitude as like a tool for our enhancement of life, our mental health, our happiness, is actually to read someone's gratitude for you, right? It could be something else. It could be you reading someone's gratitude like for someone else, like maybe in a book or, seeing someone display gratitude or like watching someone give a speech about someone and like those genuine feelings of appreciation, right? But I think we all have, and I know you do, whether it's in a card from a loved one or maybe a text someone sent you. Find my integration for you this week is to find something that where someone is expressing appreciation for you or something that you did and to read it and to connect with that and to like really soak in that feeling of goodness of just being appreciated, of having the gratitude being given to you. Because it is like every day I sit down to read these things. And again, I want to make the point that I said at the beginning. I don't heal anyone. They heal themselves. I just give them the tools, right? I open up that road to them. And so I'm not thinking like I transformed anyone's life or I healed them. I did not. They healed themselves. But like the appreciation of bringing this tool to them is what I've really been basking in, and it feels really good. And so find a way to be able to soak in the goodness of what your magic is and what you share with people. And I'm sure people are expressing that to you. It might take you a second to find the card or the text or whatever, but it's there. Okay. I love you. And until next time, kittens.
That's the end of today's trip. But remember, the real magic has always been inside of you. If this episode landed, send it to a friend who's ready to step into their next level. And make sure you're following the show so you never miss a dose. I'll be back again soon with another day on the path to your most limitless life. And until then, trust yourself, follow your intuition, and keep asking, how good can it get?